Hello, and thanks for joining Southeast Speaks, a work of the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies. Once a week, we meet with students, faculty, alumni, and friends who support the work of training gospel preachers. Enjoy today's discussion, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Southeast Speaks. My name's Will Hanstein, and I'm the Executive Director of the Southeast Institute of Biblical Studies, and I'm here with Tony Turner. He's one of the elders for the Karns Church of Christ. That's the church that oversees this good work. And so, welcome, Tony.
Well, thank you very much, Will. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Just to let everybody get to know you a little bit, can you give us a little bit of your background, like what was it like growing up and those kinds of things?
Sure. I grew up as an Army brat. My dad was career Army, and in fact, he was in the Army when I was born. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. My mother was German, and they
like from Germany.
From Germany. She was born and raised
Right.
in Berlin, Germany, and they married and had two children in Germany. And then my father was reassigned to the U.S. And then after about a year, he got orders for Korea. So on his way to Korea, he dropped my mother, my brother, and sister off. My mother was expecting me in Memphis to be with my grandmother, my father's mother. And then he went to Korea. And I was born when he was in Korea. And we only lived in Memphis long enough for him to come back from Korea and to get us. And so then my entire life until I went to college, he was in the Army, and we traveled around a lot. We moved around a lot.
Now, didn't you live in Germany for a good part, like maybe go to high school or something like that, though?
I did. When I was in eighth grade, halfway through my eighth grade year, my father was assigned to a small town called Schweinfurt, literally pig town in Bavaria. And that was halfway through my eighth grade year, and then we were there through halfway through my junior year.
Okay.
However, I've lived in Germany a total of 9 years. I lived there 3 years as a kid, and I was stationed there 6 years myself.
So then you went to West Point, correct?
I did. When we returned to the United States halfway through my junior year, he was assigned at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I went to high school at Fort Campbell High School on the Army installation. I was recruited to play football at West Point, and so I went there. I ended up not playing football for a number of reasons, but I did go to West Point and graduated in 1983. And I then started a military career that saw me move to a number of different places, including 6 years, over 2 assignments, 6 years in Germany, 4 years the first time and 2 years the second time.
And you've recently retired, right?
Well, I retired from the military in 2004.
Okay.
And then I went to work for the Oak Ridge National Laboratory here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Okay. And I recently retired from that job.
Gotcha.
And so I'm a double retiree.
Right. So you got lots of free time now.
I've got plenty of free time.
Very good. Well, tell us about your family.
So I'm married to Kathy. She's from Franklin, Kentucky. And we have 3 children. Richard, who's married to Sarah, and he's a youth minister in Huntsville, Alabama. Joel is married to Micah, and he is in medical school at the University of Tennessee Medical School in Memphis, Tennessee. And Micah works for Freed-Hardeman University, the graduate campus. I should say that my daughter-in-law Sarah is a school teacher down in the Huntsville area, and then my daughter Bridget just started her freshman year at Freed-Hardeman University.
Okay, very good. Now, how did you become a Christian? Because you weren't raised in a Christian home.
No, I wasn't. My father grew up Baptist because he was born and raised in Lower Alabama,
right?
In
L.A.
in L.A. in Lower Alabama, and he was nominally Baptist. And my mother, being German, was Lutheran because it seems like all good Germans are Lutherans,
Right.
but neither one of them were what I'd call devout. In fact, we rarely, if ever, went to church. So I was essentially a blank slate. And when I was about 31 years old, I was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, which is in the Columbus area, about 90 minutes southwest of Atlanta.
Right.
And so I met a pretty young teacher on a blind date who lived in Atlanta, and she was a member of the church. And she let me know that if I wanted to continue to date her, that I was going to go to church with her. And so I did, and I met a man named Tommy Durden. Tommy was the deacon for correspondence courses at the church there in Forest Park, Georgia.
Right.
And he asked me if I wanted to take correspondence courses. And 5 months after we met, I was baptized at the church there. And then a month later, we were married.
Okay.
And we've been happily married ever since. And that began my Christian life and my Christian walk. She moved to the Columbus, Georgia area with me, and we attended the Edgewood Church of Christ. That was our first church that we attended as a couple.
Very good. So you're an elder here at Karns. How long have you been an elder?
I've been an elder since, it's been about 7 or 8 years now, 2000 and, we've been at Karns since 2011, and I believe 2014 was when I became an elder, so about 7 years.
Okay, well, very good. Now, I want to ask you some questions about your perspective as an elder on the school and on preaching. And so, why does Karns support Southeast? I mean, Karns being the overseeing congregation of this work, why do the elders, or you specifically, think that this is a worthwhile work to support?
Well, it is a worthwhile work because we need preachers. I want to read something out of Romans chapter 10, and I'm going to read it so I don't. My memory's not as good as it used to be, so I'll read it so I don't miss anything. But Romans 10, starting in verse 14, how then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? How shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the gospel of peace, who bring glad tidings of good things. That is why I personally believe that this is a worthy work to support. We need preachers. We need trained men to go out to the world and preach the gospel. And it's just so important. We're all supposed to spread the gospel,
right?
But it's important to have trained men and women as well. And by that I mean the wives are attending classes, and they're receiving training and instruction on helping their husbands become the preachers that we need them to be. It's a preacher and his wife are a valuable team in any congregation, and if the wife has the requisite instruction and skills to be an effective member of that team, it's so much better for the kingdom.
What do you as an elder look for in a preacher?
Well, I look for sincerity. Why are you preaching? Are you preaching to further the kingdom? Are you preaching to bring lost souls to God, or do you see it as just an easy way of making a living? I mean, sincerity. I believe that if you're sincere in your efforts to preach the gospel, that's so important.
Tony, as an elder, what do you think the biggest issue is, or the greatest issue or hurdle is facing the church today?
I believe it's the tendency or the desire sometimes to conform to the world. It's the and to stray from the truth.
Right.
You have perhaps elderships, or you have congregations who see worship, which is not scripturally sound. However, it brings people in the doors. It puts people in the pews, and it's a big draw for a preacher to try to bring people in the doors.
What advice would you give? How can a young preacher, or even an older preacher, how can they avoid falling into that trap?
Well, first of all, you have to be scripturally sound, and that's why a school of preaching like the Southeast is so important.
You have to actually know what the Bible says.
You have to know what the Bible says, and you have to be strong in your faith and understanding of the Bible. And if you have an eldership that pushes you in that direction, at some point you just have to be strong and say, no, I'm not going to do that. And if that's your direction, I'm no longer able to work here.
Here's the $1 million question today. A lot of preaching schools out there, and many of them are very good preaching schools. But why should a guy come to Southeast specifically? What makes us the best preaching school?
Well, I'd say because they have a great eldership here.
Okay. Well, I was hoping you were going to say because they have the best director.
No,
but,
I'm just kidding, of course. No, the staff here cares about the students. It cares about the job, and it's not just a job, but they do care about the instruction that they're providing. But it's more than that. It's the fact that you touched on it. The entire congregation is behind the effort. The school is a ministry of the congregation, and the school is an important part of the congregation, and the students are treated as part of the family here. Right. You're not just a student in the Southeast Institute. You're a member of our family. And so if you want to be treated as a member of a loving family, this is the place to be. The instruction is excellent. The facilities are excellent. The location is a wonderful place to be, to raise your family. The cost of living is low. It's a beautiful part of the country. There are many strong congregations. The opportunities to practice your craft before you're actually in the spotlight as a pulpit minister. There are many opportunities to do that. So it's a total package opportunity for someone looking to be trained as an effective preacher.
Well, Tony, really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and talk with us. Appreciate the work you and the other elders do here. And thank you for all of you out there who are joining us, and we'll see you next time on Southeast Speaks.